and duel!
Hello everyone, Skippy here, and welcome to One Piece episode 899, the first Wano episode to be brought to us by a rather weak staff in the form of Yusuke Suzuki and Toshio Deguchi. Suzuki and Deguchi's first episodes on the anime in high positions were episodes 785 and 408 respectively, with them both being at the very bottom in terms of staff due to the average quality of their episodes. Their episodes just tend to feel very uninspired and bland usually, with Suzuki's boards lacking in cool compositions and scale, and Deguchi's art being super blocky and quickly put together due to his ability to quickly produce key animation. When you pair the two together, they don't tend to produce very memorable episodes in the long run, with stuff like the B part of episode 842 feeling really disappointing overall, due to what was supposed to be the big climactic moment for the Tea Party having an uninspired storyboard, unpolished art, and very little in the way of cool sakuga. They're not totally irredeemable, but their work on the regular isn't anything to rave about, and their episodes together are the One Piece equivalent to junk food. You'll take it because it's there, but it's not going to make you feel much in the long run, and you'd instead wish you had something better. However, with the compositing upgrades that the anime has received, and the uncredited corrections that both Nagamine and Matsuda are doing to both storyboards and art respectively, can Suzuki and Deguchi's first Wano episode end up being a lot more polished than their past ones? Or will it just end up being another weak outing for the duo? Let's take a look. This episode covers the last 7 pages of chapter 913, and while that makes the actual progression of events feel very slow and drawn out, I do have to admit that I liked what they did overall with adapting this chapter. For the most part, the adaptation is pretty one-to-one all in all, but there's quite a bit of extended going on throughout the entire thing. Things like Zoro's fight with the Strawman, the journey to Suru's tea house, and Kiku and Oroshima's introductions were all extended from their manga counterparts, and I feel like it helped alleviate the slow pacing quite a bit, because rather than dragging out the canon events like the second half of 898 did, they take every opportunity to expand on stuff that the original manga decided to skip over, and for that I applaud it. It fills in the blanks perfectly and lets us get a bit more acquainted with the story progression and the characters. By letting us see more of Kiku and Uroshima's actual personalities, Zoro's struggle against a mighty foe like the Strawman, and the preparations that are made to heal Otama. Not only does it do wonders in setting the atmosphere, but it also gets you tons more invested in the story because of it spending more time on events that the original chapter simply glossed over, which in turn makes it feel more whole. Considering how more or less rushed this section of the story felt in the manga, I'm more than happy with the results. It all feels natural, and regardless of my thoughts on Suzuki as a director, I'm glad that he went the extra mile to make the episode a better overall experience when compared to its manga counterpart. Storyboard-wise, there's not really much to talk about here. As I've stated before, Suzuki isn't an amazing storyboard artist by any means, and while there are some Nagamine corrections here and there, the board here clearly shows that. While a good amount of rather mundane shots are made a lot prettier thanks to the compositing, Suzuki's board feels like it does the bare minimum and doesn't really go out of its way to feel cool or interesting to look at. Like his storyboards before it, it's mostly a collection of rudimentary shots that get the job done, sure, but there's practically no sense of scale, and most shots just end up feeling pretty flat. It's not much of an improvement from his past boards on the anime, and it only serves to make me wonder just when he's going to get better at storyboarding. It's not as if it's absolutely horrible or anything, but it's just a very bland and overall sterile board that doesn't really take advantage of the incredibly spacious landscape that Wano is, and it just makes the episode feel neutered. The episode is a mostly dialogue-centric one, so the animation highlights are mainly consolidated in the first half, with Tetsuro Suyuki and Chu Young-seo animating a large majority of Zoro's fight against the STRAWMAN, which houses smooth movement and cool effects work from both animators that makes the fight feel as intense as it should. However, it's actually my favorite animator on the anime that brings the goods this episode, with Katsumi Ishizuka animating a super short but fucking crazy finisher against the STRAWMAN. Packed to the brim with his visceral line art and insanely modern looking effects, Ishizuka animates Zoro like a damn rocket, zooming his way to the STRAWMAN to deliver an impactful blow to the monster, leaving it torn in two. Ishizuka yet again asserts his dominance on all the other key animators and shows just why he's so greatly regarded when it comes to big, impactful moments. After that though, the episode is very light on the animation end, and it's mostly focused on consistent art from here on out, with Ichikawa and now officially second chief supervisor Matsuda cleaning up basically all of Deguchi's art, which makes for an overall polished episode once it hits the talking bits. It's mostly conservative on the animation end from the second half onwards, and it's totally fine for an episode that's mostly centered around character interactions like this, with fine being the word that I'd use to describe this episode really. If we're going to have episodes brought to us by weaker staff, I'd be more than fine with them being episodes like this that aren't extremely amazing, but have a few cool little goodies in the animation and art department that distract you from how standard and overall meh the rest of the episode feels. It won't do much to impress you, but you'll at least look back on it and not outright despise it as an episode. I know for one thing though that next week won't be one of those, as we have One Piece legend Kenji Yokoyama and co-series director Ayako Maki bringing us an episode that looks to be living up to both their names. The content that it's covering may not seem all that exciting, but with two absolute titans of the One Piece anime on board, it will hopefully be a memorable one. Anyways guys, that's it for now. I'm Skippy, and hopefully the 900th episode of the anime will be as good as it should be.